Hello, dear fans of ancient Greece, fans of ancient military history, and fans of Sparta. Um, I am forced to, as a hobbyist, not a professor of history, I am forced to explain some things that are not clear when professors, modern history professors, are explaining the Spartan military. There are most of them are painting this picture of Spartans being like these wealthy landowners who are not professional soldiers, not professional warriors. They are wealthy landowners who are, in the case of war, acting as a militia. So they go and fight when the need arises, which is a total nonsense. Okay. So let me explain you something. So the professional army are people who get paid to be soldiers, to train and to fight, right? Like you have the professional army in today modern world. Army of Denmark, of Canada, of South Korea, of Portugal. These armies, even they have like national service conscripts or volunteers doing national service, whatever their system is, or they are fully professional. At least a great part of the early military of any modern state is there are professionals there. And they get paid to train and in a case of war to go to fight. So they're not militia, and it's the argument that Spartans mostly lived like it was peacetime, but when it's a war, then they go in the war, so therefore they're not professional army, they're like this militia. But like what are then these professional soldiers like of Portugal? Portugal is not in any kind of war for a long time, so are these people professional? Sure, they are professional. They get paid and they train and prepare to fight in a war as professional soldiers. Okay, so and sure, they are not like these professional soldiers, like the tank crew of the professional army doesn't like fuel the tank in the morning and then go outside on a field and then they shoot at the targets and they maneuver there, etc. The other professional infantry is not going there shooting live rounds at the targets and they train all day for morning to night. They don't do that, right? They do the same as Spartans did. Every day is like this PT, physical training, push-ups, running, obstacle course, etc. And here and there they go on a shooting range, they shoot with live ammunition. Sometimes they go on tactical exercise, sometimes they shoot with this maneuver ammunition, etc. Same as Spartans. Spartans train their athletic training in the gymnasium, whatever, or during the agog, all the training they're doing, wrestling, boxing, running, jumping, throwing discus, etc. Running with the armor, these hoplitodromos or whatever, like that's this physical training. Every army has the physical training every day. And then if they do these tactical maneuvers, that's hard to organize, like a professional army, they don't gather a few brigades and they do some simulation of a battle. That's done like quarterly, every few months or so, and as being paid, most of the Spartans, okay, so that's like the rule. There might be some wealthy Spartans that own more land, etc., or these noble families. But out of a few thousand Spartans, most of them, they rely on the kleros, the piece of land that is given to them after they finish the agoge and this military training. They are given this kleros. And the kleros it's not given them the kleros. They, they are being paid in agricultural products. These kleros are all over the Spartan territory, Laconia, Messenia, etc. So they have this piece of land. There are helots there. The Spartans are in the city of Sparta, and they have to go to this Cityon each evening to dine with their fellow, this enomotei, the unit, brotherly unit of the soldiers, and only when going to hunting, they are excluded for that, even kings of Sparta. So they're there in Sparta all the time. They don't go there to manage this kleros. There's nothing to manage. That was managed, the kleros, by these senior helots, who are elected by the helots to keep order and to organize production, etc., which were called like this mnoionomos, or in plural, mnoiomonioi. So these are the one who like organize this production, and then when it's like the harvest or whatever, they send like about half, a fixed amount of these granary products from this kleros to city of Sparta, mostly granary, but also like wine, olive oil, etc., livestock. So this is then, when it gets to Sparta, like it's stored, the grains are stored, and it's the soldiers are not paid in money. They're paid in these agricultural products. And the Spartan itself, when it's given this kleros can be taken away from him if he loses his citizenship, if he betrayal, cowardice, disobeying of these orders, whatever it is, when he loses his status as a citizen or as a homoioi, the Spartian, the warrior, he loses that status. The kleros is taken away from him by the state. So the state is giving you just this agricultural products, part of the agricultural products that the helots are. You cannot sell helots. You cannot buy helots and put it on your kleros. You cannot order as a individual Spartan how much of this produce are you taking. You cannot interfere in that. You just get about the same amount of these agricultural products based on where is this kleros, etc. And that's your pay as a Spartan soldier. So you are being paid. That's professional army. Of course, agricultural product, because like if you, after the harvest, they send you the grains, the barley from this from your kleros, and it can be stored. Then it's more valuable for you than you being paid in money. I mean, like Sparta was not about money, this monetary exchange, and you cannot eat money, it's like this is like this warrior state. They are independent, they store their grains, and even if there's rebellion of helots in this kleros, they, after the harvest, they got the grains there, and they would not starve, like it's a strategic thing, it's not so stupid. It's more smarter system, well thought through, by the Spartans, like practicality, So you're being paid, and then once you, after age of 60, from the kleros, you are like, that's like a state pension that you got. So it's just very similar to modern professional armies, where where you get salary, you have military contract, and the duties to fulfill. So it's like very much professional from that era, of course. It has nothing to do with other policies that would later on they would have some contingent of like professional soldiers, but mostly like the militia, yeah. So you just mobilize your citizens, and the one that can afford the hoplite equipment and think they fight in the phalanx, and the other who are more poor, they equip themselves with whatever, like this. There would be like this light infantry slingers and psiloi, etc. So that's just the reality that's obvious, Nothing, no deep insight here. It's just that these professors are just pushing what they like to call the Spartan mirage. That's actually they're producing this mirage, trying to deflect from the reality of how Sparta was organized, their military, etc. And then I go to the another aspect of that. It's they're saying, like the Spartans wouldn't do military training. There's no evidence that they did military training, like with weapons and formations, tactical maneuvers and stuff. And then, of course, as the accounts from various primary sources are indicating, they could do very complex moves, tactical moves with the phalanx, beginning from like Herodotus describing how in the Thermopylae battle they would like break ranks in front of the Persians and like fake the like retreat. They are running away, so the Persians would run after them, to catch them, and they would disperse. The Persians would disperse, but then the Spartans would stop, turn around, form the phalanx and clash into them, like charge into them. And so in the narrow pass with a lot of chaos and fighting, like you have to be well trained in before that to be able to execute that. And also like this turning of the phalanx within the battle, that was also like what was also was executed successfully in some battles. That all that accounts they. And also let's not forget that when the Spartans would like march to a campaign into the war and other allies would join them, they would take time to train these tactical moves of the phalanx. They would train their allies, and you cannot say like they wouldn't train their own troops, but they would go and train the allies. Like that doesn't make sense. They're just trying to get some kind of this maneuver, tactical training, to make them a bit more effective. They wouldn't match the Spartan army, in that way. And then, okay, some historians then under that weight of evidence, they abandoned this, the thing that they never did these tactical maneuvers. But they say like they never trained with the weapons, with like how to handle and stab with the spear, how to use the sword. There's no evidence of that, and that's also a bit of a ridiculous concept. If you look at the other Greek policies, the truth is that the hoplite fighting and phalanx wouldn't receive so much training with the spears and the swords, etc. Like individual training. But like the archers would certainly do a lot of training, like either to like shoot from the distance, like or shoot directly. They would train with arrow, how to shoot arrows, of course, and of course then also the cavalry, which was like a secondary force in this Greek policies type of fighting, where phalanx was the primary formation that would decide the battle, the cavalry being like secondary, and we know that in Sparta the less capable Spartans would then be designated to the cavalry unit. Like smaller, weaker, less brave, and so they would put them in cavalry. But the cavalry has to be trained, like it's one thing to use horse as a transport, but like to fight as a cavalry, you have to kind of like do some tactical, even like use of weapons from the horseback. You need to train that skill. Then say like the phalanx, that is a primary force, and the Spartans, who were like professional living to be warriors, wouldn't train with the weapons. It's ridiculous. Sure, they trained with weapons. We know that their spear was well balanced and was like a piece of like artwork. It was really high quality. Their weapons, their equipment was of the Spartans was high quality. Very very well balanced. It had like the tip of the spear had to be balanced, and of course the handle, the long handle, had to be made of with great care, and the weight, so like to handle it, had to be well balanced. So it was done with precision, and of course it's a lot of difference whether you are like handling this spear clumsily, or you are trained to stab and to handle that weapon, and they had the Spartans had reserve weapons, like they had a stash of weapons when they would go on a campaign. Like if your spear got broken, damaged for whatever reason, like you get another one. They had the reserve weapons, but their primary weapons, they for sure had it in the household, because it was well known, like when the Spartan would venture out of the city of Sparta, they would always be armed. There are helots around, etc. They would go hunting, they would go armed, they had it in the house, and for sure they would train with that weapons. Like it's not like, but of course I'm not saying that they would daily train like for hours. Like there are some videos that I'm watching about Sparta, like when they make them into this mythical Superman, super soldier, the Sparta. So like muscle memory, they would train for tens of thousands of repetitions, how to use that weapon and stuff. I don't think they train to that level, but they certainly did quite a lot of training with the primary weapons, like the Siphos, the short sword, to maneuver it with accuracy, with speed around your shield and shield of your opponent, and in the chaos of the battle, you have to be well trained. I don't think the Spartans may have wanted to give the impression that they were just brave and superior, and they don't need to do a lot of training with that, and they were very secretive, like even one of the laws of like Kyrgyz was that it's mentioned in the constitution of the Spartans, of the Lacedaemonians, by the Xenophon, where he said, don't wage campaign too often with the same enemy, because you train them to fight you, you know. And this is very interesting concept, because it's twofold, you know. If you fight the same enemy, like we are now fighting continually, making campaigns against, let's say, Argos, then the Argives are like picking up our tactics, our, you know, our secrets, etc. So they get trained to fight us better. But also it's vice versa. If the Spartans would fight Argives multiple times repeatedly, they would also like pick up things from Argos. But from the Spartan point of view, what Lycurgus is saying, we are better soldiers. We have better tactics, better maneuvering. We are, you know, we do things better strategy, better everything. So like if we are both picking the information one from another, who is going to benefit more? The inferior one will learn more from the superior enemy than vice versa, right? But also, like, it's not overconfident. The Lycurgus then, no, didn't mean we are so much superior than our enemies, so that we don't need to care about if they are going to learn from us and then apply that knowledge against us, that experience. We are not that much better, but we are kind of better. We have our own things, and we don't want them to pick it up on that, you know, like. Like we have the aces in our sleeves, so it's like we don't want our enemy to pick it from us, so we are going to rather than fight on some other campaign, you know. Like, that's an interesting thing, you know. They would mainly train this athletic training in the gymnasium, because what you're going to do, you know, like you wake up in the morning, you eat some breakfast, and you get up to the house. You don't have internet, you don't have like you don't play cards, you don't play chess, you don't watch TV, you know, like the social life is there, you know, in this gymnasium. All people go there. The Xenophon tells you that the senior who is in charge of the gymnasium makes sure that the citizens, the Spartans, that they train hard enough according to this amount of food that is being eaten at the city, where supposedly they should, each of them are bringing the same amount of food, these monthly rations of food, and it's been eating it about the same quantity by each member of the citizen, and therefore they would like be trained at the senior of gymnasium will make sure that they train hard enough in the gymnasium, which was like this athletic training. They will run around this dromos and sprint, run around. They would jump, they would wrestle, they would do the boxing, they would throw discus and javelin and march, and they would run under this armor. So this athletic training is like when they would go on a campaign and they would be encamped, they would do training in the morning and in the evening, and they would even build nearby the dromos, which is like this running track. So it was not just a bit of calisthenics in the morning and the evening, and when they would build a running track and they would do all that training that they normally do, and of course this tactical training, which would require like this organization that a bigger unit, lots of people gather there with full armor and then simulate some kind of battle. That would be done occasionally, you know, but they would make sure to train with the primary weapons. It's a spear and short sword and handling of the auspice of the shield, etc. Train in a manner of a professional army for that era, of course. Certainly they are being paid with the agricultural products. They have their duties. This is professional army, no doubt about it. You know, like now we can talk like in which era did it evolve. It evolved. Before that it was not like this. It evolved from this militia into this professional army. It was more than an army. It was a cult of a warrior. You were born to be the warrior. This is this arete. You aspire to be this mighty, brave warrior, and what gives meaning to your life is that you die in a battle. That's this kalos thanatos, the beautiful death. You die, and then you get your gravestone with your name because you died for Sparta and did from being born and then going to this agoge at age 7 and then finishing becoming soldier and then going to this military training, then becoming full-time citizen and then serving Sparta as a warrior, you know, training or fighting, and then dying in the battle was like this, what they were all about. It's more than like professional soldier. Today, professional soldiers, if you are young and fit, or like you have this knowledge to do some technical role, you go there and you you do your training and selection, you pass the selection, you go on to training and you sign the professional contract, and you are like a professional soldier, but then you can break that contract and go do something else, you know, like, but in Sparta, this is like all they live for. It's like this lifetime warrior, you know. It's like more than a professional soldier, but certainly is a professional soldier. It's not some militia of a police, you know, that just appear there and go, you know, to fight, defend this police like other policies. Is Sparta was unique in that way, you know, during that era. Okay, thank you for watching and see you in the next video. Use your sense to logic and what is there in the primary sources, to not like this interpretation of like of this professor who are like have some agendas, personal agendas, or they're biased there because it's highly politicized thing nowadays. So it makes more sense to read like older literature about Sparta, but the best is just read the primary sources and make up your own mind, because it's just they are like just nonsense what this modern professor are saying. So thank you for watching. See you in the next video.